When we talk of governance, I think the theme of anti-corruption is a must-do, must-cover, at least from where we are standing, is that with all the measures that have been taken to, curb bribery and corruption, we're seeing a positive shift to, of public perception in terms of Sri Lanka's governance and where we stand. But from a more evaluative point of view, what is your assessment?
I think the most special feature of this government is that it is following the law, the rule of law, and also most of the constitution. The leaders of those governments violated the law and there was very little accountability. There was impunity. The rule of law is extremely important in any society because it is what gives predictability and it also ensures that people do what they ought to be doing.
Is this momentum, like all these extraordinary measures and the effort that we see from the president down, is that sustainable though? It should be.
Many people are saying that nothing much is happening, but actually quite a lot is happening. Exports are higher than ever before. Migrant labor is also earning more than ever before. Our tourism is also
very good now,
better than ever before. If you look at our earnings, the foreign exchange that we are getting into the country, it is higher than before. People are expecting some sort of miracle to happen, but there is no miracles that are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a consistent progress we see.
True.
The change needs to take place somewhere, and the most important place for it to take place is the top.
Yes.
The fact that the top leadership of this country is following the rule of law, is not abusing their power, is concerned about the whole country and about the smallest, the least people in this society, I think is a very positive thing. Opposition very upset and very critical, saying nothing's happening or that the government is unfairly targeting members of the opposition for small crimes, they say. But any crime is a crime. Any abuse of power is an abuse of power.
Sri Lanka appears to be progressing economically, but what about governance? We spoke about all of this and more with Dr. Jehan Perera. Stay tuned.
When you have an ambition, trust your instincts, move forward. This is your moment to shape your future, to be independent, to strengthen yourself. Your time is now. Accelerate your progress, empowering your progress for a fulfilled life. Union Assurance.
For 30 years, LMD has been the voice of business in Sri Lanka, capturing the pulse of the nation's corporate landscape through its iconic covers. Each cover tells a story, from the first edition in 1994 to the present day, narrating key moments, leaders and trends that have shaped Sri Lanka's business ecosystem. Over the years, LMD covers have featured thought leaders, business pioneers and game-changing innovations, reflecting the evolution of industries and the economy. As we celebrate 30 years, these covers represent more than just publications. They are a testament to LMD's legacy of excellence in business journalism and its unwavering commitment to being Sri Lanka's leading voice of business. LMD, Sri Lanka's voice of business, a legacy of 30 years.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. The topic of conversation today is governance, and I'm here with Dr. Jehan Perera, the Executive Director of the National Peace Council of Sri Lanka. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
When we talk of governance, I think the theme of anti-corruption is a must-do, must-cover. What we're seeing, at least from where we are standing, is that with all the measures that have been taken to, curb bribery and corruption, we're seeing a positive shift to, of public perception in terms of Sri Lanka's governance and where we stand. But from a more evaluative point of view, what is your assessment?
I think the most special feature of this government is that it is following the law, the rule of law, and also most of the constitution. Previous governments did not do that. They violated the law. The leaders of those governments violated the law, and there was very little accountability. There was impunity. We see a change in this government, that they are operating within the framework of the law. And as a result, and they're being cautious. They are not trying to change the legal framework. They are not engaging in constitutional reform. But they're implementing the laws that are there. And I think that is a very positive thing, because the rule of law is extremely important in any society, because it is what gives predictability, and it also ensures that people do what they ought to be doing.
Yes. In terms of what they ought to be doing, the government so far, I mean, they're completing 1 year, very soon. So far, they've, done the right things, like you said, and we have not been we've seen them associated with corruption of any sort. However, on the other side, like, the country has been going on an emergency mode, if I will call it that. And is this momentum, like all these extraordinary measures and the effort that we see from the president down, is that sustainable though? It should be.
Yeah, I think it is, because, if you look at the track record of the government, now, many people are saying that nothing much is happening.
Yeah.
But actually quite a lot is happening. Our exports are higher than ever before. Our migrant labor is also earning more than ever before. Our tourism is also
Really good now.
better than ever before. So if you look at our earnings, the foreign exchange that we are getting into the country, it is higher than before. Of course, we are also coming out of an economic crisis, and there's a lot of debt to repay. So people are expecting some sort of miracle to happen, but there is no miracles that are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a consistent progress we see.
True.
Then also, if you look at welfare payments are higher than ever before. Small things, the university bursaries, the Mahapola, higher than before. I was listening to the president speaking, and he said small things, but shows a lot of
Progress.
consciousness of the problems that people face. He was speaking about, in an interview he gave, he spoke about, the people charged of offenses being taken to the prison or remand. And he said, in the past, even young children were put into the same vehicles, buses, as older people who had maybe hardened criminal records. He said, therefore, we have allocated in our budget money for them to be taken separately in vans. So this shows a degree of concern and care.
Yes.
Of course, this is the president. Now, the challenge in our society is to spread this, to change the political culture. It can't be done only by one man or by the top. It has to be also decentralized, and that is going to be a challenge. But the change needs to take place somewhere, and the most important place for it to take place is the top.
Yes.
So, we can say this is emergency mode, but the fact that the top leadership of this country is following the rule of law, is not abusing their power, is concerned about the whole country and about the smallest, the least people in this society, I think is a very positive thing. Now the challenge, of course, is to get it across the board. And there we find resistance. We find resistance we see the the opposition very upset and very critical, saying nothing's happening or that the government is unfairly targeting members of the opposition for small crimes, they say. But any crime is a crime.
Crime. Yes.
Any abuse of power is an abuse of power. And there again, the president had something to say. He said, sometimes those who have committed big crimes, you need to be more thorough about those investigations. You need more time to catch those who have done bigger crimes. But we can see across the board, and for unprecedented, that political leaders, former political leaders, should be not only taken before the courts, but also put into prison. See, in the past, many of these cases actually originated in the past, during periods of previous governments. They are the ones who sometimes found the evidence and charged people. But these were not, these couldn't go through the process because somewhere along the line, the process broke down.
Yeah.
And so they were able to get out of it. This time it's not so. Because one positive thing that we see is that it appears that institutions are more independent. Certainly the judiciary is acting very independently. The Attorney General's Department, which comes under the government, is also taking action because the government leadership wants it to take action. And they're taking action according to the law. It's not as if they're going outside of the law in taking action. So they're taking action according to the law, and the judiciary is then acting. So these are positive signs of change. But of course, there is resistance because we all know that in our country for many, many years, public service, that there is corruption.
Yeah.
That there is, and people's salaries are low. The salaries of public servants are low. So over time, they have found ways of earning some money through the work they do. That is sometimes corruption. That is out of the norm. So now that has to stop. But they also need to live. So those things are difficult to stop.
The wicked problem.
Yeah, those are difficult to stop. But the change has to come from somewhere. And here the change is coming from the top, which is the most important place for change to come. Now the question is, how long will this be sustained? Because we also know that power corrupts and unlimited power corrupts absolutely. So it requires very special people to sustain a change and not to get corrupted. We hope that our present leaders are like that. But it is also good that other institutions play their role. There should be checks and balances. And the other checks and balances on executive power would be Parliament, parliamentary committees, for instance, the COPE, the Committee on Public Enterprises, and COPA, the Committee on Public Accounts. Those are very important. Those should be allowed to function. So as I said, the independent institutions, the judiciary, the Attorney General's Department, the Human Rights Commission, the Police Commission, those should all, actually, ideally, they should all run independent. They are all checks and balances, and also civil society. Civil society needs to play its own part. Now, at this time, as far as I can see, civil society is not being put under any tension or stress by the government.
Yes.
At this time. But there are dangers that could arise because there is, for instance, an NGO law that is being contemplated by the government. It is not a law that this government came up with. It came up in previous governments. During the time of Ranil Wickramasinghe's, the Sirisena Wickramasinghe government of 2015 to 2019, the NGO law appeared then. Then it was taken by the Gotabaya Rajapaksa government and made much worse. Then it was diluted again under Ranil Wickramasinghe when he became president. It was diluted. but it is still there.
Right.
And this government is thinking about it.
Right.
And has actually engaged in some discussions with the NGOs about it. We are opposed to it because it is, we think it is, it can be used in a restrictive way to restrict our freedoms. For instance, one of the very dangerous features in it is that it requires NGOs to get a license from the government.
Right.
According to the draft legislation, we will have to go and get renew our registration to function every 3 years. Now, when you go every 3 years, if you know that you have to get your license or your registration renewed by a government authority, and if they don't renew it, you can't function, then you will actually be very careful in what you say and do, and you will not want to be too critical. Now, that is something bad. So that's why we are opposing it, but we don't think it is coming out of this government, it is coming out of the past, and it will now come along the tracks, and this government is now considering it. So, yes, so it's emergency mode. The government is on its best behavior. It's only less than a year.
Yes.
But so far, things are good. We must see that it is kept this way. Maybe what people like to see is some sort of big changes.
Big
happening.
action, yes.
Big action, a transformation of our relationship with the international community. And getting big aid from some godfather. But there is no such thing, no fairy godmothers in the world. In economic transaction, it's all very, countries act in their own self-interest. And we have always been hoping for some foreign aid to come, some largesse to come. In a way, it did come once. It came during the time of J.R. Jayawardena, when Sri Lanka turned from a closed and socialist type of economy in 1977 under Mrs. Sirimao Bandaranaike to a fully fledged open economy which went towards the West. At that point, we got an extraordinary amount of support. We got it from Britain, from the UK. They funded the Victoria Dam and big project, the Mahabiri Diversion Scheme. That was a very positive time. We might have made the transition there, the transition to self-sustaining growth, to become another like South Korea or Taiwan or Malaysia. But we failed there. And why did we fail? Because we couldn't handle the ethnic conflict that was growing, the conflict within our society, between our two major peoples. We couldn't handle it. We couldn't find a solution at that time. And that escalated. And then, of course, also the then government leadership thought that they knew all the right answers, and they were not, and they tried to restrict the space for democracy. That was the second problem. Corruption set in. Corruption set in then. And they couldn't handle the ethnic problem, and also corruption set in. Therefore, when decisions are made, it is absolutely important that decisions should be made by multi-ethnic teams. Governance should be multi-ethnic. Now, here so far, the governance is mono-ethnic, largely by Sinhalese. Sinhalese who are non-racist, who are committed to being non-racist, who are genuinely non-racist. Therefore, they are not going and targeting the Tamils and Muslims for harassment like some of governments in the past did, some of our leaders in the past did like that. They are not doing it. But they don't know how to really include and make the Tamil and Muslim people feel that they are truly a part of this country. That is also important. We must be to become truly united. We must decide together. We must decide together as one team.
Yes.
That is still to come.
Doctor, how difficult will it be to decide together?
I don't think it will be so difficult now. Because, see, governments change when people change.
Yes.
And we saw during the Aragalaya that people actually had changed. What did we see in the Aragalaya? We saw in the Aragalaya young people, young university students on the march saying, we have learned the lesson that this country is for all equally. They said that. And that we have been tricked in the past by nationalism, by politicians saying they love the nation and they're doing it for the nation, but they didn't love the nation. They only loved themselves. They were very corrupt. So at that point, and we saw the Aragal, it was very multi-ethnic in Colombo in particular. So I think a change took place there where people realized that ethnicity should not be foremost, that we should all be equal, treated equally. And this government is taking that position very strongly. So I think multi-ethnic governance is within reach, but we have to, I think the government has to recognize that there is a need in our country for devolution of power.
It's time now to take a very short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about governance.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
Welcome back to the show. We're in conversation with Dr. Jehan Perera, the Executive Director of the National Peace Council of Sri Lanka. And Doctor, like you said, the public, they push the agenda of the Aragalaya. Should this also be pushed by the general public or should it be pushed by the government? How can we ensure this?
The agenda of the Aragalaya was a people's agenda. They want, what did they ask for? They asked for economic growth. They asked for better living standards. They asked for no corruption. And they said, let us all be treated equally. That's what Aragalaya, the message, basic three messages that came from Aragalaya were. So those are good messages. Those came from the people. But they need to be promoted. They need to be fostered. They need to take institutional form. The inchoate, the sentiments of people can only be concrete expression if the government passes laws and creates the structures to deliver on those desires of the people. So government is important. Government is, in a way, good government is the most important thing. If we have good government, then government which leads. Governments give leadership to people. They have the resources to educate people, to create consciousness. So having good leadership is absolutely very important. Now look at America.
Yes.
How another type of leader has come
into play.
and how he's changed things so much. But of course, it was also because in America also, the people wanted something different. And now they've got... So people elect the type of leaders that suit them at that time, or that they think will suit them at that time. But leaders also can make a big difference. And we are fortunate in our country that we have a leadership, I think, that came from the people itself, who care for, who have seen poverty in their lives and want to eradicate it. And also, fortunately, also are not racist because of their ideology, the ideology of socialism, Marxism, which is an egalitarian one. So I think we must take this opportunity and support the government to do the correct things and push the government, because there are some things it will not want to do which are difficult to do, like dealing with the ethnic conflict, like dealing with the past, like dealing with what happened in Chemmani. Those are difficult things to deal with. But I believe this government will permit the institutions of state to function. So the judiciary, the Attorney General's department will progressively investigate those cases and then mete out justice in whatever way they can.
Doctor, it's been such an insightful conversation. Unfortunately, we're reaching the end, but I'd like to ask you one last question. In one of your previous answers, you were talking about state-owned enterprises and how corruption has also seeped in. Now, that might be possibly an easier thing to do, or it's something that we have to do because we've dedicated ourselves, in terms of reforms that we promised to the IMF. So when the government is working towards strengthening governance in SOEs, of course, public will also come to play. What would you say are the quick wins as well as the more long-term initiatives that they have to take?
And state-owned enterprises in this country have been a big drain on the national coffers. When you make losses in a state-owned enterprise, you're taking away from the people.
Yeah.
And you're taking away from poor people, money that could go to poor people. So one has to be very watchful about state-owned enterprises. In principle, I am in favor of them in many areas, such as the areas where they perform services, transport services, hospitals, absolutely important. We have good hospitals, education. Those are public services. And the state has to be involved in it, because those are not areas where we should let private profit be the dominant motive. Where education, health, transport, public services are concerned, it is service to people.
Yeah.
The question is how to make them run properly.
Yeah.
And for that, the appointments to top positions in the SOEs needs to be done on the basis of merit. On the basis of merit and on the integrity of the individuals concerned. And I believe state-owned enterprises can be run profitably and well, but depending on who leads them.
So it's a top-down approach.
It is the leadership matters very much.
We've been in conversation with the Executive Director of the National Peace Council of Sri Lanka, Dr. Jehan Perera. Thank you very much. It was such an insightful interview.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and X. Thank you for watching and stay safe.